Good morning, guys. I'm reading A Course in Miracles, and this line is so beautiful. Okay, can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? Can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? I almost can't even move on from this passage because I keep reading that line over and over and over, but I shall continue. In no fantasy have you ever seen anything so lovely. Nothing you see here, sleeping or waking, comes near to such loveliness. All this beauty will rise to bless your sight as you look upon the world with forgiving eyes, for forgiveness literally transforms vision and lets you see the real world reaching quietly and gently across chaos, removing all illusions that had twisted your perception and fixed it on the past. The smallest leaf becomes a thing of wonder, and a blade of grass is the sign of God's perfection. The real world is attained simply by complete forgiveness of the old, the world you see without forgiveness. The great transformer of perception will undertake with you the careful searching of the mind that made this world and uncover to you the seeming reasons for your making it. In the light of the real reason he brings you, as you follow him, he will show you that there is no reason here at all. Each spot his reason touches grows alive with beauty, and what seemed ugly in the darkness of your lack of reason is suddenly released to loveliness. I love this line too. The smallest leaf becomes a thing of wonder, and a blade of grass is a sign of God's perfection. You know, can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? Can you imagine when you let go of like the constant thoughts? It just reminds me of like being in a hurry, being stuck in the fight or flight of the nervous system. You know, you're stuck in this lens of stress and this lens of negativity. And I work in this restaurant, and I'm training new servers all the time. And I tell them all the time, you know, some people are born angry. You know, there's nothing you can do about those people. Some people are waiting to come in to complain about everything, you know. So I plant the seeds of joy in their mind. Are we enjoying this? Are we enjoying everything? What does this dish taste like? It's beautiful. It's delicious. It is wonderful, you know. Some people live with the lens of negativity across their mind. Anything that's slightly wrong, you know, like I'm looking outside my window right now and the grass is so green, the sky is so blue. But a person who lives in negativity, they're only going to complain about the heat. It's so hot outside. Like, oh my gosh, everything is a burden, you know? And it brings me back to Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. How in a place like a concentration camp, how did he find meaning in that place, you know? I love that book. I recommend that book if you have never read it. It is so great, but you know, even in past summers, you take in the lens of like what the heat has been like in the South. And we have not, like, we've gone through summers where we've had severe, you know, droughts and like all the grass is dead. But no, this summer has been beautiful. We've been getting showers, you know, on the daily, watering the grass, keeping it green and luscious, actually intaking a lot of the heat that would normally be just like reflected back. And it's so beautiful. So like, how do you get that? How do you change your lens of perception? You know, a lot of what we perceive is through just our biochemistry, our physiology on any given day. You know, how am I just perpetuating the same biochemistry, the same fight or flight, the same negativity lens? And then how can I change that? And this quote in front of you, may you always be blessed with the clarity to know what is and what isn't meant for you. I think a lot of our vision is, you know, relegated by our immune system, right? Like our immune system is the master hormone regulator. It's the master nervous system regulator. And when we feed this, when we speak beautiful things to our body, to all of our cells, like we are changing our biochemistry. You know, every time we speak to all trillions of our cells, this is our body, this is our babies, this is our brothers and sisters, it's our home, it's our first family. You know, if you have trouble with your family, if you are getting in negative relationships with your family, you know, look at your first family, your first body, you know. Take care of your home. This is your real family, you know. You can't take care of anybody if you can't take care of yourself. You can't understand someone if you don't understand yourself. And you can't understand yourself until you understand your cells, because all these trillions of cells are just creating the body that we see when we go in front of the mirror. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And then our cells love when we speak sweet and kind things to them, you know. Observe the thoughts you have. You have these thoughts about, I'm so old, I'm so tired. Like, I'm trying to constantly observe these thoughts so I'm not a measure of perfection by any means, because I'm constantly catching myself, you know, like, what are these negative thoughts that you have popping up, Rachel? Like, you know, what are the thoughts having that you are, even going for a walk, something that I love to do, right? I'm thinking in my mind, I'm trying to talk, you have to go for this walk. You need to go for this walk. Like, no. Why am I going for this walk? I'm going for the enjoyment of physically moving my body through space and time. I love to exercise and contract my muscles because I know that my body loves to move. It loves to heal. And when every time I go and contract my muscles, I am literally the most powerful biochemist on this planet. Every single breath and step that I take, powerful biochemistry, so powerful. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I just love this passage on forgiveness too, because of course our health, as I've studied health over the years, you know, it started with a very physical thing for me, you know, move the body, eat the right things, get the sleep, go in the sun, you know, but there became an underlying and undeniable spiritual component to how I was feeling in my body. And it is these thoughts, you know, it's this spiritual mental metabolism that is really in effect and in conjunction with the physical, right? Like, you can be doing all of the beautiful, wonderful, lovely things, but if you have a spiritual mental metabolism that is just tearing you and ripping you to shreds, and even in an unconscious way, a lot of the times, like, we don't understand how our spiritual metabolism is, I don't know, I'm holding this because, like, again, that line, can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? You know, we don't understand the breadth of our spiritual metabolism, like how we're being affected by the relationships that we hold with other people around us, you know, how we look towards our job, you know. And I watched this podcast, this guy was just like, one of the things that changed my life is just asking, how can I enjoy this? You know, something that you don't like to do, because there are things that we don't like to do all the time. Like, I gotta go do my laundry and clean my bathroom and stuff like that. Do this, it's just like the little mundane task. How can I enjoy this? You know, instead of being tense and tight about it, because, like, I'm observing myself now. I'm observing myself, like, when am I getting tight and tense with things, you know? It's when, like, I don't want to do something, or maybe I go around someone that I don't feel particularly safe, and I'm trying to observe that. And I just love this book, A Course in Miracles. Like, I just can't recommend this enough. It's a foundation for inner peace. It doesn't have an author. I've carried this book around with me for years, and the reason that I found it was my friend had sent me a video on YouTube that this lady was lecturing, and she was lecturing on A Course in Miracles. And then I have this wonderful, beautiful next door neighbor who has been like a guide to me, who is a lot older than me and has been on her spiritual journey and path for longer than I've been alive. And I said, I heard about this book. And she was like, oh my gosh, Rachel, I have this book. Let me give it to you. So my neighbor is so wonderful. I love her. I'm, you know, blessed. She is a miracle. She's such a miracle. And she gave me this book, and I've been carrying it with me and reading it little by little every day for, you know, the last 2 years that I've been in this house. And, you know, that particular passage, like, can you imagine how beautiful those you forgive will look to you? It's like, it's so beautiful, you know? It's like, what does it look like for someone that is like, you look at it like, and I'm a twin, so, like, sometimes you know, you're in these relationships with people for a long time, and you start to get annoyed with their patterns, you know? You start to get, you know, aggravated, irritated with little bitty things that people do, you know? It's just like, it's human nature to look past the grace and the joy that is in the connection, and to just fall into these negative patterns of, like, I'm annoyed. Everything that you do is like, Why are you doing this? I don't understand this. You know, like, you're trying to change people. Why can't you be different in this way? And it's like, can you imagine how beautiful they look when you just ask that question? They say, asking shall receive. How can I see myself differently? How can I see this situation differently? How can I see this person as like an innocent child who is just full of love, you know? And, you know, bring that freshness and that spark back to your connections that may have gone stale. And I think a big part of that is like, what is your relationship to yourself? Or have you gone stale with yourself? Are you tired of being in the same routines? Because you're a biochemist, you know what I'm saying? You're a biochemist, so these brainwave states, like your hormones, the way that you're perceiving the world, you can always change that, right? Like, I think it's beautiful. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about meditation. He teaches about meditation in depth with these brainwave states, with the chemistry, with the hormones. And it's like when you change your hormones, you again wipe the lens of perception that you've had. Like, why does exercise help us to feel better? You know, it clears the lens of our perception. It's so beautiful. You are so beautiful. You're so gorgeous. Oh, I just can't tell you enough. You make me want to cry. You inspire me. And you're just like the most beautiful person I've ever seen in this whole world. Really and truthfully. You're so beautiful. So anyway, I hope this video is helpful for you in some way. You know, continue to learn about your body. If you're learning about your health, a lot of times people, myself, years ago, I become so overwhelmed with the amount of information going on when I'm gathering things about the health, that the number one thing that you can follow is that this cell is a part of all of us, and we want to increase mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. It's where we produce most of our energy in the cell. Mitochondria is also controlling calcium levels. A lot of people talk about decalcifying the pineal gland. Mitochondria is in charge of calcium signaling. It's in charge of so many things. Mitochondria have their own DNA. They can be a reflection and override the nuclear DNA. It's so beautiful. Stick towards the light. Mitochondria produce light in the cell. Amino and fatty acids are very important. Sunlight exposure is very important. And how you speak to yourself is probably the most important of all of that. You speak constant. Your cellular immune system is working around the clock 24 hours. Say thank you. Say thank you, because it's the only thing protecting you from life and death in this world, is the immune system. So you're so beautiful. I wish you the best of luck. May you always be blessed with the clarity to know what is and what isn't meant for you. Your body knows. You're so intelligent, so beautiful and intelligent. Anyway, I'm going to go so I can stop repeating myself. But as always, I wish you luck. You can like, share, and subscribe. This is helpful. But yeah, catch you next time.